Hi, Girly Pop Society. Today we're in for a special treat as we sit down with Maddie, birth and postpartum doula, actually on the RRDS team. You'll hear about Maddie's total obsession for motherhood and pregnancy from like the age of 2 to go on to meet her love of her life at only 17 and then birth 2 babies. I can't wait for you to hear Maddie's precious and sweet, magical birth stories. We believe a birth story doesn't begin with labor, it begins with her.
Welcome to Girly Pop Birth Talks, where we go beyond the delivery room. Each week, we interview a woman just like you and unlike you about her pregnancy, her birth, and also her becoming, and what led her to the most transformative experience of her life.
So grab a drink, a snack, and cozy up, because around here we go from laughing 1 minute to crying the next.
As we listen to the stories that shape us.
Because birth isn't just about babies, it's about the women who rise in the process. Maddie Peters.
Back again.
Welcome to Girly Pop Birth Talks.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to dive in deep and get to know your becoming her story.
I realized that I missed the memo with the colors, but then Maddie pointed out that me and the couch.
Yeah, you're not alone. You have a little friend.
It'd be like an eye twister if you sat here. Like not a tongue twister, but your eyes would be like
where is she
yeah.
at?
Kind of like if Becca was against the wall.
Yeah. Or in the shower. Be like, where's Becca? Nope, that's my loofah.
That's my loofah.
Yeah. Loofah shirt.
Does anybody need a body scrub? Come give me a hug.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Why can't I stop scrubbing now?
You can exfoliate yourself.
I feel like you need.
Yeah. You're so affirming.
Just do what you need to do over
Thank
there in
you
the corner.
so much.
Okay, so Maddie,
Yes.
you're a bartender on
Yeah.
the side. So I hope this drink is good because I mixed a little something up for our
Mocktail. Oh, you're a listener.
Oh, I'm a listener.
Do you want to sing the mocktail song with
You
us?
don't even know what it is.
Oh, we know what it is.
I think I have it.
Mocktail.
There she goes.
Got it. Oh.
She's
from
mixing
down
in.
She's shaking
She's
it.
mixing in her maki. Anyways,
Tell us
what's
about
the recipe?
All right, so I kept the fact that you were a breastfeeding mama in mind.
Yep.
So we've got some San Pellegrino, sparkling water.
Oh my goodness, these
Some
cups are
cran
adorable.
raspberry. Yes, these are the official Girly Pop icon glasses.
Yes, and the
Anthropology created them just for us.
thanks Anthro.
Thank you,
But they
Angela.
forgot to create a third, so just forget about it.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail.
And how much did you pay for shipping?
I bought one for the price of 2.
Okay, let's do a little
Sorry.
tasty testy.
Wait, I
Okay.
forgot the most important thing.
Wait, yeah, tell us about it.
So you got the cran raspberry.
Cran raspberry.
You got the San Pellegrino.
The San
Okay.
And then
Pellegrino.
we've got a sprinkle of Element, which Element, if you would like to sponsor us,
We love Element.
we love
Please.
Element. 3 a
Yeah.
day is what I drink as
Yeah.
a breastfeeding, sweating mom.
Yeah, Element.
Middle of
Sponsor
summer.
these breastfeeding
Drink
women.
it. Just sweat it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your
All right.
sweat
Okay,
probably
little taste
tastes like
test.
it.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salty raspberry sweat. Sorry.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good.
I love it.
I'm going to drink that very quick.
I give it a 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
It's very good.
I know I say this every time I see you, Maddie, but I still fantasize about that drink at your wedding.
Oh,
Oh.
that was good.
Okay,
We were talking about this. A lychee.
It was a lychee, not mocktail. It was a lychee cocktail, but it had a pink guava foam on top.
Okay, that's
foam that I
it was
think
the
about.
guava foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our bartenders were amazing. They came over for like a cocktail sampling at our house and like laid out all their stuff. She's like, okay, what color do you want? I'm like, pink. So she's like, okay, let's do a pink guava foam, but what flavor do you want your cocktail? I'm like, lychee. Lychee is like my diehard.
Wow.
I get it from my mom, but
Did you get that? Do you like the lychee martini at
Macooni's. It's
Macooni's?
my favorite
Wait,
cocktail.
I've
Yeah.
never had-
Yes.
I was gonna say lychee, like your diehard. I've never had it before.
I won't
it's
eat
like-
lychees, but any lychee drink,
Oh, I love lychee.
yes.
It's like a grape, an Asian grape. But
Okay.
it's like it is. I mean,
I don't really know.
99.9% sure. It's an Asian grape and it tastes absolutely incredible. Like a grape, but a grape at the carnival.
For sure. Like grape on vacation.
You know what
Grape
the
on vacation.
Macooni's drink tastes like to me? It tastes like those new like sour grapes at Target that you
Yes.
buy
Yeah.
Fruit
in the
riot?
frozen. Yes,
Yeah.
in the frozen section.
I have some fruit riot.
Next time we go there, remind me to get that martini.
Yeah. Or you can go to the Asian market and just buy lychee.
Mm,
You just had lychee. Did you like it?
I did.
I loved it.
I had a drink.
I haven't eaten lychee yet, but any lychee drink that's on a menu.
You don't drink the lychee at the bottom of the martini at McCooney's?
No.
You leave it there?
Like the one that you can bite into that like makes your tongue tingle?
No, that's not a lychee.
Oh.
That's the tingling
Oh, the
flower.
fruit in the drink?
The fruit in
No.
the drink. You leave it there?
Just the drink.
Oh my God. I drink it like.
Nope, just the drink.
I think we've got enough of the slurping sounds for one.
Hey, we never know if we have an ASMR listener out there that likes an ASMR birth podcast.
Okay.
Maddie,
Yes.
tell us about you.
What day were you born? I have a question.
August 30th, 1999.
Oh my God. And is it like August 30th in a few days?
Like a day and a half.
Ariel, would you mind like helping me with something?
Oh my gosh.
Dun da da.
Oh my God, you guys.
Happy birthday to you.
It's so
Happy
cute.
birthday to
Wow.
you.
Happy birthday, dear Maddie. This is adorable.
So you get your own cloud glass
Yes, I do.
with a straw because you're a
Look at this.
breastfeeding mother and you don't want that whacked out of your hand.
Yeah, or my toddler will knock it over.
Definitely.
Yep.
We got some face mask. We
I
got
love
some
it.
bar essentials. And we got the cutest stir sticks.
Do they make those noises?
Cute. I don't know what's going on. Cutest stir sticks in the history of stirring.
I love this. This is so cute, you guys. Oh my gosh, look at these.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Aren't those to die?
to die for.
Yeah.
I almost just snotted
We saw.
my drink. Thank you for giving me.
Can I like sit next? Can it sit next to me?
Yeah.
It's adorable. Thank you guys.
So let's go back
Okay.
27 years.
No, I'll be 26.
Let's go back 26 years.
Yeah, so 26 almost years ago, I was born. My mom and dad, I was the first daughter, well, first baby, but first daughter, then followed by two more sisters, each about 2.5 years apart. So I'm one of three girls. I'm the oldest of three. My mom always called me the other mother. I don't know why. Well, I could tell you why,
Yeah.
but we'll get into that. She called me the other mother. I was the oldest of three girls. Actually, when my youngest sister, Corinne, was born, my parents got divorced shortly after. And so I spent my childhood growing up with divorced parents, which was fine. But when I went to my dad's house with my sisters, I was the oldest. And so I grew up basically taking care of my sisters alongside my dad because he has three girls, right?
Yeah.
Becca's one of three girls.
Yep.
And so I was called the other mother. We came home from my dad's house on the weekends, and my mom was like, "You've been parenting your sisters way too much." Because and she
Maddie's
had
giving
to,
the report. She's
Yeah.
like, she's grounded for 2 more weeks.
and
she's
she had
got
to
a rash.
reparent us and get us back in line all over again. But yeah, I'm one of three sisters. I got married last year, actually September 7th, which is just around the corner. So
So
we're
many exciting dates coming up.
yeah, celebrating our anniversary. We got married on Donner Lake. Our family recently adopted 3 cabins from my mom's boyfriend.
What a great
That sounded
adoption.
really weird.
I love it. Yeah. Where do I sign up for these types of adoption? Yeah. I just adopted a kitty.
So we adopted 3 cabins. No, my mom's boyfriend and his family, they have 3 cabins that are like all next door to each other. So for the last 5 years, we've gone there many times, and it's become like one of our favorite places. So right on the water, it's called The Point at Donner Lake on West End Beach. And so we got married there, and it was the best day.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's where we had our pink guava foam lychee
Yeah.
or margarita
Well, we were
cocktail, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
I had a little child inside.
Little child in
I was
your
being a
back, yeah.
supportive friend.
So Becca had one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I could remake that because it was delicious.
Yeah. Do your bartenders ever just do like, I don't know, like podcasts?
Yeah, they do.
Bartenders in here.
No, but they can just like keep serving them. Like if we had one boozy podcast. Booze.
Yeah. 2 of the really coolest girls that we found to bartend our wedding. So that was really fun. So we actually have a family business called Rusty and Rose. That's a mobile bartending business. We have 2 horse trailers that we made our COVID project in 2020 and
They're
turned
so
them
cute.
into bars. They're really fun. They're a lot of work, but they're really fun.
One of them, right? Or both?
We redid ours. We restarted it or gutted it and then restarted it like a month before our wedding because I had this grand idea in my head that I needed to completely make it different for my wedding. So.
Absolutely.
Up until probably the day before I was working on that.
You'll have to send us a picture so we can post it in your like announcement of who you are.
Yes. But we have those 2 bar trailers. We mostly cater to like weddings, but do a lot of other events like open houses, birthday parties, bridal showers, really big too. So that's really fun.
And what do you do?
I am actually a birth and postpartum doula on the RRDS team. So this is like my home to me. But I've been a birth doula since Layton was born.
Yeah,
Ariel's middle.
My birth doula and then for Layton and then Calder's postpartum.
Layton was my first birth in person that I actually attended, and so.
I don't think I knew that. I knew it was like one of the first, but.
I know.
Wow. So
Yeah, I told Becca. I had been a postpartum doula for a couple of years at that point, and wanted to dive into birth work. And she called me in the middle of the night one night and was like, "Hey, you want to come to a birth?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I got all my fancy stuff on, had my bag packed that I'd been waiting to use forever, and went to the birth center and got to support Ariel, and that was like a becoming of a new person, like all over again. So that was really cool.
We have to dive into that more in a minute.
Yeah.
So that is so fun.
Birth and postpartum doula. I'm also a nursing student. I've got like 8 to 12 months left, depending on how fast I want to get through it. So hopefully one day, like L&D is like where I want to be. Dream job is Sutter Davis.
Yeah. That would be so fun.
It's where I had my son 8 weeks ago, and that was like, felt like home. I want to go back, but like in a different role.
So I'm assuming that you, like most of us young gals, transitioned into like babysitter roles. Like how did you go? We are unhinged on the second podcast of the day.
Yeah.
How'd you transition from the other mother as a 5-year-old, the other mother, to the other mother postpartum doula?
Through my childhood, I'd obviously like became fascinated with children, watching my own sisters grow up. I had cousins, who I got to see grow up and take care of. And then we actually started joining this. We joined this church, Lakeside in Folsom, and I grew up in their Sunday school program. The later of my childhood, I guess you could say. And then when I was 12, I want to say I started volunteering in the kids program. The nursery is where I wanted to be. So we went and asked one morning, my mom and I, like their church staff, how old I could be to work in the nursery because that is like where I wanted to be. I didn't really want the toddlers and the older kids. I wanted to hold the babies. And I want to say I was told 13 and I was devastated. So I worked in the toddler classroom for like a year until I was able to go into the nursery. And I remember that weekend that I got to be in there, and it was like the best. So for years I volunteered. Saturday night there was 2 services. Sunday morning there was 2 services, and that was like my place that I wanted to be.
We're like the same person. That is literally my childhood at Bridgeway, not Lakeside.
Yeah. So for years I was there. I ended up babysitting for like 50 plus families. When one family started working, or when I started working for one family, it was like a referral to the next and the next, because it's just like this giant community in this church. So yeah, I grew up taking care of lots of babies. I was obsessed with shows that had to do with like labor and birth and teen moms. Not that I ever wished that on me as a teen mom, but
16 and pregnant.
16 and pregnant.
From school and like
16 and
pregnant.
I did wish that on me. I
I
was
would
like
have
a virgin as a teenager, but I was like, if I could skip the sex part, I was like, I would love a baby.
Yep.
Like as a 16-year-old, this is psychotic. I had like a pack and play in my room, just be like to babysit. Like
I had a nursery set up in my bedroom.
Okay,
for
so
like all of my baby dolls.
Yep.
You guys, I just tried to marry my cat a lot as a child.
Marry your
I
cat?
tried to marry my cat.
I mean, I would pick my story over that.
Right. Feeling kind of weird right now. You guys like
not so much a cat, but
marry your cat.
Marry my cat.
The one that just passed away?
No, Petruchio.
Petruchio.
That was my kitty growing up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Prince
so
kitties.
grew up with like all of these children that I could watch, all of these baby dolls who my mom ended up saving. Now my daughter has, and she has a little nursery set up in her
I was
bedroom.
gonna say she's obsessed with baby dolls.
until her own came and she like chucked them all in a closet and shut the door because she only wants the live one.
Yeah, she's smart.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Do you have any like hard memories or difficult moments of being like obsessed with babies but 12 years old? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, I remember like, I think it was high school. I mean, I'm sure it started earlier than that, but like I wanted babies. It was really weird. Like I didn't want to be 18 and pregnant. I didn't want to be a young mom. I mean, I wanted to be a young mom, but I didn't want them now. But I couldn't wait for that day that I became a mom because
you could feel like that was your purpose, and
yeah,
it was almost like this tension of like the now and
yeah,
then, like how do I keep
yeah,
living now?
yes,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could not wait for that day.
What was like everything else? Did you have a social life? Did you have a friend group?
Yeah, I had a really awesome friend group in high school. There was like 7 or 8 of us girls. We always hung out. I was on the swim team. I was a swimmer for probably 10 years. And so swam all throughout high school. And then, I had a really awesome friend group. Very different today. We're all just very different people, but still talk to most of them. And actually one of my best friends now, Emily, we both have 2 kids. And so her first, Brinley, and mine, Taytum, are like 3 months apart. And then she had a baby girl in February, and then I had a baby a couple months ago. So being best friends and having friends such close in age has been really fun.
Yeah, that's a dream of mine.
But yeah, high school, I was, again, an athlete. I did not like the books and the school and the good grades. I was not a learner. But we had fun on the weekends. We were the typical, we were typical high school partiers. I grew up in Folsom, and so I went to Vista Del Lago, and the famous like top of the hill in Folsom is where we always hung out. But yeah, we hung out at the top of the world and like overlooked the city. That's actually where I met my husband.
Okay, I was gonna say, when do we meet Mason?
Yeah, so it was March of 2017. He graduated we're the same age, but he graduated a year early. He went to Granite Bay High School. And then it was March of 2017. So I will be graduating in May of 2017. Okay. So it was my senior year. I wish I could remember what day it was. I just know it was in March. I don't even know what day of the week. Yeah. But we had mutual friends. And so his friends that he knew from dirt bikes or racing, or just, I was friends with. And so my friend group and his friend group one night all met. Actually, it was the weekend of Hangtown. So, March. And yeah, we all hung out. He was actually with another girl that night, and I just laid eyes on him. And for some reason, I just knew, that like he was the one for me. I ended up seeing him a couple weeks later. It was almost May at that point, and he wasn't with that girl anymore. And then from there, June of that year, he had back reconstructive surgery, and so I had graduated. It was summer, and so I had gone over to his house many times and brought care packages and just hung out for a little bit, and then we just got closer and closer.
So you weren't officially dating?
We weren't dating. Okay. He thought we were, but we were not dating.
I love those stories.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you have to actually ask me.
Yeah.
I did that with Kyle, too.
Yep.
I'm like, ask.
Yeah.
So in August of 2017, after I graduated, I went to Sac State. And I remember sitting in a class one day, and he had texted me and said something about something girlfriend. And I was like, oh, I'm not your girlfriend. And I don't know where it went from there, but we ended up hanging out again recently after that. And he was like, oh, I thought you were my girlfriend. And I was like, no, you haven't asked me.
I don't recall a conversation.
Yeah.
A grand proposal.
Yeah. So anyways, he ended up asking me. It was October 11th, 2017 that we started dating. And yeah, the rest is hopefully history.
That's so sweet.
Yep.
Did you want to just like get pregnant then? Like when was your
I begged.
I was going to say, did you know immediately about like your desires? Like you just
very quickly.
Piece, basically, like I'm ready for the dream.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Graduated. Yeah. Yep. You're in school.
Yep.
Let's start a family.
So I just turned 18. He had turned 18 in April of that year. And yeah, almost instantly I probably started begging. Please. Please. He was like, no, not right now. I mean, it sounded fine, but no, not yet. We ended up moving out in 2018, I think in the fall. So it was pretty quickly after we started dating. And since then we've moved like 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship like with your sisters, your mom? Like, what's your like core of Maddie? Like, how would you describe yourself? We know you love babies.
Yeah.
We know you're this entrepreneur.
My mom is, well, I have to say it the other way. I'm my mom's mini-me. I look like her. I logistically am like her. I plan like her. I craft like her. Very much so my mom's mini-me. My sisters, not so much my mom's mini-me, but we're all very close. I'm just much more like her, in the best way I could say it. Yeah, my sisters and I are all close. My middle sister is actually in the Bay Area right now. And then my youngest sister is still at home, kind of deciding what she wants to do in life.
So you're like really surrounded by women.
Yeah, lots of girls.
Did you hear your mom's birth stories growing up? Like, did you ever talk about birth?
Yeah.
You know, we know you want babies, but what were you thinking about?
Yeah, like
I
how
want
did
babies?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what was your first introduction? Well, you saw the TV shows.
I've heard her birth story. Well, I've heard her delivery story. I haven't heard much of her labor story and what went into that until I know that she was induced at 42 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was due August 14th, I think, and I was born August 30th, so 2 weeks. Yep. So she was induced, and then she says she was double induced, whatever that means. No, so she was in labor for a very long time. I think I ended up having D cells, and so it was an emergency cesarean at that point. But I was about 22 inches long, 8 pounds, 8 ounces. So she likes to say I came out as a kindergartner. Did not want to come out.
No.
But
I'm comfortable like this where I want to be.
yeah, on my due date was my mom's brother's wedding. And she says she danced so hard that night and it didn't work.
Wow.
Danced you to like be super comfortable
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Definitely.
And then were your sisters both then cesareans?
Yes, second sister and then third sister were planned cesareans because she was like, I can pick a day.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like VBACs were a big deal like 20 years ago. It was just like automatically.
Okay, so you heard her story.
Yep.
What about other birth stories? Like, when did you start thinking about, I have to get the baby out that I want?
Yeah. I think it was just a lot of the shows that I ended up watching growing up. Just became really fascinated with birth. Taking care of children and nannying turned into postpartum doula work. And so once I was in the postpartum doula field, I felt like birth work was like that missing piece that you kind of have to put the two of them together to make sense. And so I was called to the birth doula world kind of through postpartum work and just fell in love with birth from what I had remembered watching and listening to from stories and past family members.
You started night support really young. How did you transition? Because I babysat a lot as a teenager and in my early 20s, but I didn't become a postpartum doula until, I mean, still very young, but like 22 maybe.
Yeah.
But you started at like 18. How did you find night work in the babysitting realm? Because it was like a night nurse.
Yeah. So
night nanny.
there were families that I had nannied for and just found jobs where mom and dad worked nights. And so I was in the home during the night with the children. They weren't necessarily newborns, but infants, because that's the only families that I wanted to work for were families with infants. And yeah, mom and dad were like nurses or doctors or worked a night job somewhere. And so I would stay home with them.
So your niche just became nights.
So my niche became nights.
Yeah.
Like I helped these babies wake up in the middle of the night, take care of them, feed them, put them back down, then fell in love with like sleep and that whole world, because that's a whole world.
Yeah.
But yeah, fell in love with taking care of babies at night. And then I always knew my calling was newborns. And so ended up taking doula training for postpartum doula work, and then it's been uphill from there.
Yeah. So then you transitioned that night nanny services to a more professional postpartum doula services. I remember like Golden State
Yep.
doula services.
Yeah.
And then eventually come on board with us.
That's where I met you.
I know. I remember Maddie, you had a Facebook page
Yeah.
that was called like something. It was a babysitting, like, do you remember what it was called?
This Happy Nanny.
This Happy Nanny.
That was my like nanny business.
And then she was like, it was like a picture. You have to find it and send it to us. But it's like twins in a stroller.
Yeah.
And Maddie. And I was triplets in a stroller and Maddie. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I literally just was scrolling. It was like recommended friends. And I was like, who is this girl? Like, I want to be like her. That's so cool.
Yep.
Because I was babysitting. And I didn't know, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I didn't know what a doula was. I didn't know what a postpartum doula was. I just knew I loved babies.
Yeah.
But when you babysit babies grow. And so I immediately was like, ugh, like, I don't want this job anymore. That's how I was when I was a
nanny. I, like, a year came around and I was like,
I'm like, is there a job out there that, like, is just, like, newborn to, like, 3 months old and then you just stop? And then I'm like, oh, that's a postpartum doula.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted in life.
So we, like, started DMing on social media, and then I eventually became a postpartum doula, and then had to go to my next contract, and I was like, oh, I know this night nanny.
Yeah.
And then she started working for them, but we still never met, or something like that.
We hadn't met until you introduced me to a family that you were probably phasing out of.
Yeah, I was going to my next contract,
and they still needed help. They had twins. Multiples were my calling, so.
I remember hearing when I first heard about you, probably when I was pregnant with Clayton, and you were saying, like, I'm going to bring this backup doula on or whatever.
Yeah.
You were, like, the queen of twins in the world.
in sleep training. Yeah.
In my nanny world, I was the queen of multiples.
Amazing.
Yeah. The more babies I could have at once, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have multiples in your calling someday.
Yeah.
I'm
so
excited.
Becca introduced me to this family that she was probably phasing out of care for, and still needed help. And they had twin boys. And so I met her one night on their couch. She invited me over.
Oh, that's right. You did like a shadow night.
Yeah, I did a shadow night because she had DM'd me and was like, have you thought about being a postpartum doula? I'm like, yeah, but this world seems like so intimidating. So
I'm like, you're already doing it.
Yeah. She's like, you're already doing it. So anyways, I shadowed her one night.
What year is this? Or how old were you? Do you know?
This is 2020.
2020, yeah.
Okay.
Like March.
March of 2020.
You've been with Mason a couple of years now, a few years.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing this. Are you still at Sac State?
Not at Sac State.
Okay.
I was at Sac State for a year.
Okay.
I had gone there for teaching and realized I didn't like 5-year-olds.
Yeah, for sure.
So
you were doing this?
Yep.
Okay, and then
so I was nanny full-time for a couple years and then...
And when she says full-time, like, I remember, like, following you, stalking you for those years. And it was like you would have a day job.
And then
like a
job.
day nanny job.
still do that.
And then a night
Nothing's
nanny job.
changed, Becca.
And then, yeah, now she just has her own kids. Yeah. But I was just, like, so amazed because I was in a relationship at the time. And I was like, how do you have time for your relationship? I still have that question for you, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But
so that was kind of the birth of my postpartum career. And yeah.
So at this point, you're still begging Mason.
At this point, I still really want my own. I'm tired of giving them back after 8 hours.
So how do you foster a relationship? This is like what I'm super curious because you guys have an amazing marriage now. But how did you foster that relationship working essentially 16 hours a day, 7 days a week?
I think just finding time for each other, even if it's like 30 minutes or 2 hours, whether it's before going to work or after going to work. We had lived together, and so quality time was like, it was just us when we went home. It wasn't with our families. It wasn't living apart. And so that really helped grow us together. We ended up getting 2 dogs before we had kids. And so our dogs were our first babies. And traveling was like our biggest thing that we did together.
Yeah.
We fell in love with Disneyland together. We had both gone to Disneyland growing up, but we fell in love with going to Disneyland together. And we went to Seattle. We went all kinds of places, just weekend trips, just us.
Like maximizing the time you do have together.
Mm-hmm. So traveling's our favorite.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's skip forward to your first pregnancy. Deciding you want to get pregnant, getting pregnant.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did you finally say, like, okay?
After I begged for a long time.
And it was a choice. It was like you guys.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
It was planned, I would say. I knew exactly when I conceived in February 25th, 2022. Taytum was conceived.
You knew like the
Oh,
night.
I know where. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew exactly when
time,
and where it was.
the position.
Yeah. Yeah. The room of the house.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, Taytum was conceived, which is funny because I was so happy hoping that it was going to work, right?
Yeah.
And then the day that I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, like I'm actually pregnant now. Like almost like shit hit the fan, right?
So it wasn't like an immediate like, yes.
I was excited, but then I was like, okay, now I have to tell him. Now I have to tell my mom. I'm not married at this point.
No matter what, it's a shock that you're bringing another human into this planet.
Yeah, it got real fast. So I ended up taking a pregnancy test. I like had them under my counter for far too long.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah. So I took one. It was actually the morning that we were going to Cars and Coffee in Folsom, which we lived across from. We walked to there on a Saturday morning. And I remember taking the pregnancy test, and he was still laying in bed at that point. And I walk in and I'm just bawling, like not happy, like, I'm sorry, kind of bawling. And he was like, what do you mean you're sorry? And she's like, this is what you wanted. This is like what we did. And I was like,
He's like, you knew how it worked. Yeah.
And so he's like, don't be sorry. Like, this is what we wanted. He was instant, like, happy. And so my demeanor in my brain, like, instantly switched. Mm-hmm.
So there was not, I can understand how there was like this, like, that happened really fast and
Yeah.
you're still having a conversation about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what I'm imagining.
Yes. Happened first time. First pregnancy test. I knew when I took it that I was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, instantly clicked. Later that afternoon, when we had gotten back to the house, I had plans to go shopping with my mom. And I was like, okay, I should probably tell her, right? And so she picks me up and we go shopping. I remember vividly, we go to Nordstrom Rack at the Palladio. And then the whole time we're walking around the store, I'm like, how do I tell her? How do I tell her? How do I tell her? And so, okay, I'll tell her on the car ride home. Like, she's going to go drop me off. My car was at her house. I was nervous to tell her.
Because you weren't married?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And was that something that was important to your guys' families?
Not something that had been talked about.
Societal
Just societal expectation. So I was like, okay, I'll tell her on the car ride home. This whole 7-minute car ride home, I'm like, I can't tell her. And we pull into the driveway. I'm
23?
22.
22.
Yeah. So we pull into the driveway and I'm like coming up with anything I can talk about besides telling her. So we're sitting in the car for a long time and like I can see her going to like grab the handle to like open her door and I'm like, Mom, wait. And I think in that moment,
I feel butterflies for you.
yeah, I think in that moment she knew.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I have to tell you something. And I don't know if I had a card and it said, like, you're the best furry grandparent, but how about, there was like a picture of like little feet or something. So like she was a dog grandma and she loved being a dog grandma. She loved Sadie at that point. And now she's getting upgraded. And she was like, oh, but very quickly was very excited. Yeah. We had a conversation in the car, but very quickly, very excited. And yeah.
What was that conversation? Was it like approval or is this what you really want? Or what was said?
Both. Yeah. I think it was, I'm excited if you're excited. Like, do you know what just happened? I was like, I promise it was planned. I was like, this probably isn't the timeline that you were expecting or any of our family is expecting. But at that point, we had been together for 5 years. And so, yeah, I've been waiting since I was 12.
Yeah, this has been, I tried for 10 years. I waited so long.
So she very quickly knew how excited I was and became excited, and she knew I could handle it.
How was everyone else's reactions?
We told my sisters a couple weeks later, I think. Same with my grandparents. I think we ended up telling them on Easter. We went over to their house and sat them on their card before brunch and gave them a little gift. And everyone was excited.
How was your pregnancy? And also, what were you thinking? Like, having been a postpartum doula, I don't know how much exposure to the birth world you had at that point. What year was this? Because I guess my birth was before.
Yeah, I had attended probably a dozen births, maybe half a dozen births at that point. My pregnancy was like March through beginning of December of 2022.
Okay.
So I had been in the birth world for 2 years. Yeah. I was very excited. Very excited. I hadn't quite found my calling for like out of hospital birth yet. Hospital birth still felt very like safe to me. But I did go the like, I'll just jump to it. I went the unmedicated route in the hospital, which was hard to do. But birth experience wise, amazing. Birth experience the second time, even better. So.
Okay, so let's go to what's your due date? When do you go into labor?
Yeah. So Taytum was due of November 30th of 2022. And I had her December 5th. So I was 40 and 6. 40 and 6. After 40 weeks, my doctor started talking about induction, and in the birth world, I knew like 38 to 42, like normal. And so I wasn't worried about it. But, you know, they asked, can we put an induction on the calendar? And I said, sure. I don't have to show up, but sure. And so I remember them putting an induction date on the calendar for Sunday at like 8 p.m. And I actually woke up in labor on Sunday morning on my own around like 5 a.m. Just kind of crampy, laying in bed this was December 4th. Crampy, laying in bed, and then turned into labor a couple hours later. I was like, okay, this is like actually labor.
What did that feel like? What were your first, like, it's always interesting to me because I haven't had my own children yet, what it feels like to coach a woman through contractions, not ever feeling them, and then being on the other side, like, okay, that's my first contraction.
You're like, this is what I expected based on what I've seen.
Yeah, it was what I expected. The beginning was very crampy, kind of turned into like contractions that I could time much more. I had to focus on them a lot more. I ended up going to the hospital at like noon on Sunday. So it had been about 6 hours. And I was laboring at home during that time before we transitioned to the hospital, and they became much more painful. So we went, and when I got there, the nurse in triage was like, can I check you? And I was like, yeah. She was like, you're about 1.5 centimeters.
And how
True, like, yeah.
What were you, like, how far apart were contractions? Because you know, as a doula.
Yeah. Contractions were about 4 minutes apart. And so that's when I knew to go. I was timing them on my phone. My phone's like, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. So we went.
What were your emotions like in that moment?
I was in that moment sad that I had gone early. I knew I was getting sent home. The triage nurse was really sweet. She's like, you can sit here and bounce on a ball for a while if like it'll speed up your labor, but it didn't. And so I went home.
Was there an emotional release in that, or were you still like holding, like, this is normal, I'm strong? Or was it like
felt very normal. Sad. I was sad that I was going home, but it felt normal. I was actually excited to go home and keep laboring because that was comfortable. So I went back home, and then they were like, well, you do have an induction scheduled tonight at 8 p.m., so you can come back. And I was like, okay. So I went home, and then it was about 5:30, 6 p.m. that they started becoming much more uncomfortable. And looking back now, I was like, I wasn't in that much pain in the beginning. I was just uncomfortable. Yeah, I didn't have a reference point. I didn't know what to compare it to besides period cramps, which it was nothing like.
Did you have strong period cramps in life?
No.
So
no. Typical like 3-4 day cycles. My cycles were longer, 32 days, which was normal for me. But no, menstrual cycles weren't like a dread.
How would you explain a contraction to someone that's never experienced one?
It was down low in the front of my belly. Almost like 2 hands on each side of you, just like pulling together. I don't really know how to explain it.
I remember hearing birth stories before I had my first that it was like a hug.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, because to me, I didn't register a hug as like painful, just a squeezing. But to me, it's like a searing hug. Like there's a searing pain.
Very tight.
Yeah.
Kind of like a dagger, but also a hug.
Yeah.
So I went back to the hospital that night at around 6 p.m. It was 6:30ish because I remember shift change had started at like 7 p.m. So the intake process was pretty slow because nurses were giving a report and changing shift. But they knew as soon as I walked in that, okay, she's in labor this time. So I didn't even go to triage. They put me in a room 19. So they put me in a room. They end up checking me, and I'm 6 centimeters. So it's about 6 hours from when I was.
That's fast work.
Yeah, 1.5 centimeters. Labored in the room. Movement of freedom was like a really big thing for me. I knew I didn't want an epidural, so I bounced on a ball. I was around the bed.
How did you know you didn't want an epidural? When did you
Fear of
decide
needles.
that? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, this thing is, I knew it wasn't a needle, right? The needle goes into the catheter, but you don't feel the needle. But I was like, this thing is not touching me. Yeah.
Okay.
And up until that point, I was like, don't give me a shot. Going back to my childhood, I wouldn't even go into a hospital to like visit a woman in labor or visit a new baby. Like I didn't want to walk into the hospital.
Okay.
I didn't want a shot when I went to the doctor's office. My mom taking like a splinter out of my foot was like having to hold me down. So like didn't want anything to do with an epidural in my back.
Yeah, for sure. Did you take any birth classes or anything to prepare that? Like once you decided I'm not doing that?
No birth classes other than just my own knowledge,
Right,
which
you had been-
you can't doula yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent, sure, but no, you can't doula yourself. So no, I didn't take birth classes. I just knew what I had known from either attending previous births or just being a birth doula.
I really think that we kind of talked about this in the earlier episode, but I do think that like knowing techniques to get through labor is really important, but I feel like the most important thing for labor without an epidural is just trusting it.
Yeah.
If you don't trust it and you don't take a class, then you're like not gonna cope well.
Yeah, I
But
didn't
if
know
you
what to
trust it-
expect,
Yeah.
but I knew it was going to be hard.
Yeah.
So I just kind of rode the wave.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a doula with Taytum, but you had a doula with Baylor.
Yeah.
What was that decision? Like, was it a decision to say, I'm not having a doula with this one? Or was it, I don't need one?
I think the biggest reason that I did want one with Baylor was because I was giving birth at Sutter Davis, so a different hospital, and I was having a water birth this time. That was like my dream after delivery with Taytum, where I had a really great experience, but the one thing I can like go back to and really hate was pushing on my back. It's like everything else 10 out of 10, pushing on my back really sucked. And I remember vividly purple pushing. It was awful. The ring of fire, terrible on your back. And so the biggest switch for me was I switched to Sutter Davis. I wanted a water birth. I wanted little to no coached pushing.
Okay, so the decision to have a doula with Baylor was a no-brainer.
No brainer. Yeah. I almost said no deal breaker, but it's deal breaker.
Yeah.
Do you, when you look back at Tatum's birth, like knowing yourself as a doula and being around a lot of doulas, do you see how that would have been? Like, do you wish you had a doula
Absolutely.
in Tatum's delivery?
Yeah.
So doulas need doulas.
Doulas need doulas.
Yeah.
Yes. I advocated for myself really well, but when you're 10 centimeters in a lot of pain, I feel like that advocacy kind of goes out the window. I probably didn't teach my husband enough about kind of what to expect and how to doula me. And so that quickly changed when we had our second baby on how he could best support me when those situations arise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so it's 6 p.m.-ish, and you're 6 centimeters,
Mhm.
right? So how long from then until you started pushing?
So 6 p.m. I was 6 centimeters, and I was fully dilated around 1:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So it was a while.
What were you doing?
Just hanging out. My mom was there. Mason was there. It was obviously middle of the night, so there's not much like happening, but watching things. And I remember coping through my contractions was, I shouldn't say fairly easy, but they were very manageable to get through. I sat on the toilet for a while. I bounced on the ball. I do remember having really bad back pain, back labor. And so I remember my mom like squeezing my hips and doing all the counter pressure on my back, which was really nice. And she was OP, which is why. So she was OP until about 9.5 centimeters. And that's probably why the stall was so long.
Yeah.
And then once I was fully dilated, I just had to get rid of a cervical lip and then labored down for a little bit longer and started pushing at 3:15, and she was born at 3:44.
Wow. That's fast.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, because,
Pushing on your back.
yeah,
30 minutes. first time mom.
Yeah. So, yeah, 3:44 she was born, instant skin to skin. She did have meconium in her water, which they had broken about 9 centimeters, my water. So, of course, they talked to me like she might go to the warmer. It might be harder for her to transition if she aspirates or gets all the amniotic fluid in her lungs. But no, she came right to me. She was screaming and crying.
But the ring of fire was the one thing that you like remember as like, I did not like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I also will never forget that.
Yeah.
But it's quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
But it's memorable.
Because I was pushing with all of my might until probably a blood vessel popped on my forehead.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's like, especially at the end of a long labor, I feel like you're just so motivated to get that baby out, or at least that's how I felt with Marin.
Yeah.
Like, when I didn't have a contraction, I was pushing, and the midwife was like, I believe you can do this, but like, try to work with your body.
Yeah.
Just take a break.
I loved my nurse though. Nurse Jamie, she was my nurse. So when shift started at like 7 p.m., she was still there at 3:44 because her shift at Sutter Roseville wasn't going to end until 7 a.m. because they have 12-hour shifts. So she was my only nurse that whole day.
So nice.
I ended up finding her on Facebook like weeks later and then messaging her like, thank you so much. Because you quickly forget about the things.
Yeah. I love that because I remember thinking like I don't know how to contact the nurses and the midwife that really helped me.
Yeah.
It's fun that you found her on Facebook.
Yeah, my OB, who I had seen for all my prenatal care, wasn't my attending OB there. Of course, she wasn't on call. She was actually my mom's OB who delivered me and my 3 sisters. But I had another doctor who came in, but of course they walk in like right before baby comes out and then do their stitching job because I had a 2nd-degree tear, and then she left. So that was that.
How was your recovery with the 2nd-degree tear?
Good. I feel like I felt like myself again very quickly in terms of like
I remember
recovery.
I was like, I think I saw a picture of Maddie at like Old Navy.
Oh yeah, December 8th.
Yeah. I was like, Maddie, you know better. Get in bed.
Yeah, I left Taytum at home with Mason, my husband, and she was in her swing upstairs in the loft, I remember. I'm like, okay, here's a bottle of, express breast milk. I'm going to go to Old Navy and I'll be back in like an hour. And
That's
went
amazing.
shopping.
What was your transition like as a mother instead of a provider? Like, was it a big difference, or was it like totally what you expected?
It felt very natural because I have taken care of so many children, but it was much more emotional because it was my own. I didn't have any postpartum blues or anxiety or depression or anything like that, so I felt very lucky. But I think that's because I was so confident from the start, which I feel lucky as a first-time mom, because that's not the case. Not everyone raises children and then has children.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
probably helped ease the common experience of like the identity shift and just shock.
That was really your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were like, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Did the responsibility feel like a lot, or was it something that?
No. She became like my best accessory. She went with me everywhere. And yeah, being a mom for me has felt very natural. It's like the best. Yeah.
Any advice you would give to first-time moms, like going into their first birth, first postpartum?
Yeah, I think leaning into like your intuition is the biggest. Like, for example, when they were like, come in for your induction, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So kind of like leaning into that intuition. And then just being a mom, leaning into your intuition, whether it's with your newborn or with your toddler or your birth experience, just listen to your inner psyche, because I think your mind state, which is what we teach all of our clients, is that the biggest component that goes into your preparation.
Yeah, it's so hard as a first-time mom though, like to know, like you feel that intuition, but then at least for me, maybe being a more anxious person, it's like, wait, is that my intuition or is that
My fear,
something else?
Yeah.
But it would be helpful to have, like, for a first-time mom and the work that you guys do as a doula, like reminding them, this is your intuition, this is not you. Like, there's not a wrong answer here. If you don't want to show up to that induction, just don't. I didn't know that as a first-time mom. I'm like, well, they scheduled me, so I better be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, are you married? Are you engaged? Where are your relationship at?
Yeah, I forgot that detail. We got engaged on the morning of Taytum's baby shower.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
It was like fairy tale. It was really cute. Her baby shower was at this barn up in Placerville, the white barn at Powell Ponds. And we were expecting about 80 people that day. It was a co-ed shower. And I can't say that I knew it was happening, but I kind of had a feeling.
Was there talks of like wanting to be
Yeah.
Married?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had also begged to be like engaged for a long time.
Give me something.
Yeah, just something. So yeah, that morning, there was certain family and friends that were invited to be there by Mason about half an hour before the shower started, which was kind of weird, but at the same time, those were the people who like come to our birthday parties
Yeah.
early to like help set up, and so it was also normal at the same time.
Kind of like,
Yeah. And so I remember changing into my baby shower dress, and then we're like, let's take a group picture. And so we're standing all out in front of the barn taking a group picture. Our photographer had arrived at that point or had been there. And we're all standing in a line taking a picture. And then she's like, all right, let's take one more. Mason and Maddie, I want you to walk 10 feet towards me and stand right there. And then all your family is behind you watching. So we're like walking 10 feet forward.
Did you know
and
at
we
this
stop.
moment?
At this moment is when I was like,
something's happening.
this is happening. So we walked 10 feet forward, like closer to the photographer. All of our family is standing behind us. And he proposes the
Aw.
morning of our baby shower.
That's so cute.
So it was like an engagement party baby shower at the
Yeah.
same time. It was a lot of talk about the ring and being engaged, and
It's a gorgeous ring.
thank you.
And I love your
great.
wedding band.
I do too.
I want that same set.
You're like, no, bitch.
Nope.
Wink, wink.
So yeah, that was that morning that we got engaged. We got married last year, September 7th of 2024, in Donner Lake, and yeah, best day ever.
So you're postpartum. When do you guys start entertaining baby?
Pretty quickly, but at this point we're also engaged.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I wanted to plan a wedding. So it got put on the back burner. Let's plan a wedding. We're gonna make it as big and fun and as long as possible. And so I was like, why show up to a wedding venue at 4 p.m. one day and then leave at 10 p.m. and like, oh, wedding's over.
No.
We arrived
Wedding
on
weekend.
Yes,
Yeah.
wedding weekend is what I wanted. So we looked at venues where you could stay the weekend, and that's when I catered more to the idea of staying at the cabins and getting married at the lake, because we went up on Thursday, and Friday we had a beach day and rehearsal. The guys went golfing into the bar, and then Saturday morning was a girls' morning when we were getting ready. The guys went golfing again. We got married. We had an after party at the pub across the street, which was super
So
fun.
iconic.
Yeah, so fun. And then we had another beach day with anyone who stayed in town for that weekend. We were all at the beach the next morning. So that's what I wanted, was like a wedding weekend.
So fun. You did such a good job.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
The colors. Every time I think of your wedding, I just think of all the florals.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
The florals,
The lake,
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
that boat that just
That
happened
boat,
to be
oh.
the-
Yeah. Kyle's
Sailboat.
videography.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
So you got married September 7th.
Mhm.
I know because I think we talked about it. Like as soon as
Now I'm
that
like,
happened,
okay,
you're
game
like,
on.
time for baby.
Yes.
So what day did you conceive?
It wasn't until I was on my period until the day of my wedding. And I remember getting off that night. No, I was on my period that day.
On your wedding day?
On my wedding
I didn't
day.
know
Terrible.
this.
Yes.
That's
I did-
awful.
that happened to me.
So I wasn't ovulating. So wedding night, baby, that wasn't in the cards for us. So I didn't end up cycling until like, what was it, 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
So it was end of September, like 20 something.
And you
And-
got pregnant on the first time again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah. Amazing.
I'm very lucky that it didn't happen before that.
Yeah, little wedding baby.
Yeah.
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 Mhm. So was it the same thing? Like you knew before you even took the test?
I knew that the day we tried, I crossed my fingers that it would work. And I felt very confident when I went to take a test 2 weeks later that
I remember getting that
it
picture.
would be positive.
Tatum holding it.
Yes.
So
Do
cute.
you wait until the day of your missed period, or are you like the rest of us that like
No, I buy the tests that say like
7 days sooner,
five
yeah.
days sooner, and I do it on day 5.
Yeah.
Do you
sooner.
look at it like this, or you were like, it's probably gonna be positive?
No, I flipped it over. It was in the morning. I was taking care of Taytum, so she was like a year and a half and some change. And I brought her in there and I had her flip it over, and it was very clearly positive. So,
Oh.
yeah.
And how many days before a missed period was that?
2.
Okay. Were you're like it's twins?
It was dark from the start. I remember sending Becca a picture. She's like, "It's pretty dark."
It was
But no,
so
it wasn't
exciting.
twins.
It was
I've always
so-
wanted twins. Twins would be fun.
I
but
know for a fact, and we'll clip this when it happens one day, that you'll have multiples, and I think it will be like spontaneous triplets.
well, I already have 2, so maybe not.
No, it's in the cards for you. It's already written.
Maybe when I want child 4, it's gonna be triplet. And I'll have
Oh, 7,
6, 7,
No, it'd be 6.
6.
6.
'Cause I already have 3.
And then triple.
Child 4. I understand math.
Yeah.
So this time, we kind of talked about it earlier, but you're
Mhm.
thinking like, I'm gonna have a doula this time. I want a different birth.
Mhm.
Not that it was bad, but you wanted the water piece.
Yeah, my birth was amazing. I loved my birth. I told everyone about it. It was the best day of my life till second baby was born. But I knew I wanted a doula. I wanted someone else to be there with me, and I knew my mom was going to be there. Mason was going to be there. But I think the reason that I wanted a doula the most was for my husband. When I look back to my first birth story, I felt like he felt unsupported, and just didn't know. I mean, first time dad, he's also 23 at that point, and so he's young also. And yeah, I think that's why mostly I wanted a birth doula to be with me, is for him. And it was Becca.
Yay.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Becca joined us in our birth story for the second time and was everything that I thought she could be and knew that she was. You need a tissue?
So, last time you went, or you really like committed to that fake crying thing.
Oh, I still might cry as I'm holding it,
Okay, yeah,
just in case.
So you went 40 and 6. Am I remembering that right?
Tatum, yep.
Okay. So were you prepared this time? Like, I'm gonna expect that I'm gonna go late again.
I knew my whole pregnancy that I went late with Tatum, and so as much as I was holding to the 40-day mark, like I'm due, I knew I was gonna go over. That was my like intuition telling me it's gonna be another late term baby. My mom had a late term babies, and so that was just in my cards, which was fine because I was telling myself that the whole time. Baylor was due June 21st, and he ended up being born on June 29th. So 41 and 1, 2,
Really
something like 41 and 1.
And I distinctly remember, like, what was the last date you were at my house being my postpartum?
I know.
June 20th.
Yeah, it was really close.
Yeah, I was due on Saturday, and I think I was at your house Thursday night.
I remember like you leaving, like hearing about you leaving one day, and you were like, the baby, like Baylor, was kicking Calder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So cute.
Yeah, I was 9 months pregnant, holding Calder, who was 6 weeks at that point.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, 6 weeks. That was the end of our time together. 8 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 8.
And yeah, I was holding Calder. He was sleeping, and Baylor let this huge kick out and startled Calder.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
cool.
cute.
Yeah.
It's like 2 worlds touching. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
He was literally sleeping and went,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to your birth story
okay,
with Baylor.
where should we start?
I love his name, by the way.
I do too.
It's really special.
With both of our kids' names, we had like lists, but nothing decided until the day we found out Taytum was a girl and the day we found out Baylor was a boy, that we looked through the list again. It was like instant.
You have to like know that baby.
Yeah.
Birth story starts. Yeah, tell us how things started, when they start, how they start, when they start, how they start,
Who, what,
Where
when,
they
how,
start.
why.
So I was 41 and 1, and I felt kind of crampy that night when I went to bed and thought, hey, it might happen, it might not. I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. It was 1:30. I remember that. Felt fine going to the bathroom, normal middle of the night pee during pregnancy. Came back in bed, got in bed, and kind of tossed around for like 28 8 minutes. Yes. Tossed around for a while and just like couldn't really get comfortable. And then I remember like turning from my left side, which I tried really hard to sleep on my whole pregnancy. I just had to turn to my right side to get comfortable because like my hips were hurting, everything hurt. And I felt pop and my water broke. So it was 1:59. They broke it. So this was my first labor experience with the broken water, which is very different. Yes. So my water broke at 1:59 in the morning, and I called Becca promptly at 2:00. And I was like, my water broke. And I just like had to tell her. I think it was more out of excitement. I knew I was fine. I was going to labor. I contemplated, do I call her? Do I not? It's the middle of the night. I don't want to wake her up. But I knew she would be excited.
Oh, yeah. Becca loves to be woken up for these things. No, I do. And then I'm like,
yeah.
I just have to tell, poor Ignacio.
Poor Ignacio.
He gets all my middle of the night
I need
excitement.
to wake up someone next to me. Tell him.
I'm like, babe, Maddie's water broke. And he's like,
okay.
Okay. And I'm like, I'm so excited.
So I thought to myself, I can try and get back in bed and like sleep as much as we can. Because that's what we tell everyone. Like sleep, ignore it. I could not lay down. It was like instant pressure, like from the start.
I think something, and I don't want to like talk about your birth story too much. I want you to tell it. But how much water?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've seen the picture.
We'll have to post in your carousel. Like it was.
I wish I took a video of the whole thing happening, but I started taking a video towards the end.
I think you called me back or text me, and you're like, I'm standing over a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's how much water was like pouring out.
No, I needed a Home Depot bucket, but it was all over my floor.
Oh, you needed 2 a.m. calls. Who knows?
Yeah. So when my water broke, I was laying in bed and I was like, I'm gonna like log roll out of bed so that I don't sit up and get it all over the bed, because I knew in that point it wasn't a trickle, it was gonna be a gush. So I stood up next to my bed and it was a waterfall for 10 minutes. A long time.
I cannot imagine that.
Yeah.
I've never had my water just break. Like it's always been right when it's coming out. So I want to know what that feels like, but also like what a mess.
It was a mess.
And then it was pretty immediate that labor started.
Yeah, contractions started right away. So the day prior, I had consented to an NST because I'm like, there's no risk to that. I can go in. And they wanted to do a positional ultrasound just to make sure position was still good, but that she still had really good water. The placenta looked good. So I went in, and the ultrasound tech was like, this water looks really cloudy. Maybe it's the machine. And I'm like, okay. She's like, it's a new machine. Maybe it's cloudy. But when my water broke, it was full of vernix. Like clouds of vernix. So maybe it wasn't the machine. Maybe it was just my water.
Yeah, really good machine actually.
Yeah, really good machine. So yeah, water broke. I want to say it was like 2:15, maybe 15 minutes later. It was like instant discomfort, just from pressure of baby. I knew Taytum was 9 pounds, so I knew he was probably close to that or more than that. And yeah, just instant. 2:15 a.m. Husband's still sleeping next to me. I hadn't woken him up yet. No, I did. I told him my water broke, but I was like, I'm just gonna like bounce on my ball, walk around the house, and so I did. And I think it was about 4:45 where I was like, okay, this is like hurting. And so we both get our things together. I curl my hair because why not curl your hair between contractions?
Yeah, what else to do?
And we're like, we need to go. My intuition was just telling me to go. So we went, Sutter Davis. So we're about 50 minutes away. Thank goodness it was the middle of the night and there was no rush hour traffic, because that would have been terrible. Worst car ride ever. So we get there, we call them. The midwife can hear me on the phone. She's like, okay, well, let them know we're expecting you so that someone's ready to attend to you when you get here. So we get there. It's about 5:45 that we get there. And she takes me to the room because she could tell in that point what it looked like I had been in active labor. So we go to the room. They're like, can we check you? And I consented because I'm a data and logistics kind of person, so I wanted to know the numbers. You're 1.5 centimeters. Again. It's a repeat of Tatum's labor. So now I'm thinking, okay, that was the worst 50-minute car ride of my life. Do I want to do it again and drive home and then come back later? Or she was like, you can stay here in labor and hang out until things pick up. And And I was like, no, I'm going to go home. It's, 6:30 something in the morning at this point. So we drive back home. Mason gets pulled over on the way home because he's going 85 miles an hour in traffic, and he pulls over on the right side of the road because that's the direction that's where you pull over, on the right side of the road. But I'm on the right side of the car. Yes. And so my pants had been down to my knees because my contractions were so strong that they were like, my belly felt like it was expanding with my contractions. So my shorts felt like they were getting tighter and tighter. So I had pulled my shorts down to my knees, and I had a big baggy shirt on, so you couldn't see anything. But the cop comes up to the window and he's like, what's going on here? And Mason's like, my wife's in active labor. I'm just trying to get home. And he was like, home? He was like, yeah, well, we were just at Sutter Davis, but they sent us home. And he's like, yeah, Sutter Davis is the opposite way. And he was like, well, we can't be there right now because she's only like 1.5, 2 centimeters. And the poor cop was very confused. He clearly does not have kids.
Yeah,
so he's like, okay, let me just see your ID. So he checks my husband's ID, clean record, sends him on his way. So thank you not for the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
So we get home. It's probably 8 a.m. at this point, and just continue laboring. I had called Becca because I was like, don't come to the hospital yet. Let me just see where I'm at. It's a drive for her too. And so she hadn't joined me.
So considerate.
Yeah. She hadn't joined me in labor yet, thank goodness. So I went home, I think about 9:30 in the morning. I texted you, or Mason texted you, and was like, okay, real deal. Like, she's working really hard through these contractions. They were about 2 to 3 minutes apart at that point. And by the time that you got there, at around 10:20-ish, they were not giving me a break. They were very close together, very hard to get through. I remember standing in the bathroom, like hunched over the sink, probably sweating because I was sweating, so I had a fan on me, and just working hard through them. Becca gets there and comes in. She puts like a clean wash rag on my shoulders. She puts a fan in front of my face. She gives me like a smelly thing to smell. And like acupressure on my back and all the things. I didn't even think I acknowledged her that she walked in. She just like started all her magical things. Something in her doula brain told her like baby's probably not in the best position. So we went out to the living room and did a bunch of different exercises to try and change his position or something to try and get him in a better spot so that I could get a break through my contractions. And it was instant. I went down on forward leaning inversions. I had like my knees up on the couch, my butt's pointed towards the ceiling, and I was on my hands and my elbows on the ground. And we did that 3 times. I want to say I was down there holding that for like a minute.
Yeah, like through one contraction.
Yeah. And then I came back up and she did the hip shaking. And then I did it again. And then after that, which was probably one of my favorite parts at home, was sitting on the birth ball in front of our front door. And she had a birth sling that she hung on the door, put around like the lower part of my belly. So it was kind of like holding my belly up from that pressure. And then I was sitting on the birth ball and listening to an affirmation, got to close my eyes and just kind of like sway on the birth ball and swing into the swing. And then my daughter Taytum comes over and like sits on my lap. It was really cute. And then the third exercise we wanted to try, but something my mind was telling me, like, I think I'm good without it. It was probably, I want to say it was probably noon at this point. So we had been working through these for about 2 hours, and something in my mind was telling me, like, I want to go. Like, I've been dreaming about this place where I'm going to give birth, and I want to like be there now. So about 12:30ish, we start heading that way. Car ride was much more manageable this time, which now thinking about it, maybe I was in transition or close to, because I could really cope through the contractions. I had been there 6 hours ago, so I knew where I was going and kind of like markers along the way that told me how close I was. So we get there and they knew like, okay, she needs a room. So we walk down the hall and I'm pausing, holding on to like the side rails or like in the hospital hallways and hunched over working through this contraction. And a midwife comes out from her office and I was like, oh. And I could hear the nurse next to me, like, yeah, she's like, in labor. Yeah. So we go to the room. They want to do like 20 minutes of monitoring. They want to do a vaginal check, which was fine. And then I went to the bathroom, and the monitoring sucked. They wanted me to lay down in bed, which, again, I'm a logistical person, so I consented to it because I wanted to hear the heart rate. I wanted to see the statistics. Just laying down sucked. So I very quickly got up and stood over the contraction monitor.
And they checked you at this point?
They checked me. So my water had broken, and so when they checked me with a speculum because they didn't want to go in with sterile gloves for risk of infection. So she was like, it's very subjectory because I'm looking with my eyes and I'm not feeling. So she told me I was 6, which, going back to Taytum's birth story, when I went back to the hospital 6 hours later, I was also 6. But was I actually 6? We'll never know, right? So I go to the bathroom, and again, working really hard through them, and I'm like, we need to fill up the tub. It was probably 1:30 at this point. Filled up the tub. I was really amazed. I feel like I blinked and it was full.
Wow, that's Laborland.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was full. I get in, and I want to say within minutes, I'm like, I need to push.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first I said, my butt, which your birth story made me laugh because I was like, my butt.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all in my butt. Yes.
So sets off alarms in your head. Like, that's not supposed to be feeling like
No. And so it's probably telling everyone else in the room that I have to push, but
yeah.
very quickly turned into my butt instead of I have to push. And so I got on hands and knees, and there was a lot of hold back while I was pushing because I was remembering pushing with Taytum and how terrible it was. And I think I was holding myself back because of that. And then I finally surrendered to it and was like, okay, I can do this.
How did you work through that?
I looked up between contractions, and I had like my whole support circle around me. Becca was there, Mason was there doing amazing, and my mom was right next to me again. And Taytum was actually on FaceTime, so it made me really happy. They were on their way, but hadn't quite made it. So my support circle kind of got me through that. Being in the water was all I had dreamt of. It was comforting. It was really warm, warmer than I thought it would be. And it took... People have asked me since then, like, how was it different? And I haven't quite wrapped my brain and my words around how it was different. It was just different. Didn't take the pain away, but it relieved the pain, relieved some of the pressure, to the point where when I did fully surrender to, okay, we actually have to like push this kid out. He was crowning for like a while, and I have a picture of his head, and I didn't know his head was like halfway out.
Wow.
No, because I asked, and I have a video of my mom takes thousands of pictures and videos. So she's sitting next to me doing that. And I asked her, I'm like, is he coming? And she's like, he's halfway out. Like, his head is halfway out. And I was like, okay.
Is that when you surrendered? Or was it a little bit before that?
Well, when I surrendered was when they started getting worried about shoulder dystocia. And so I had only been pushing for about 20 minutes at this point. And I remember the nurse next to me asking me how big Taytum was. And I said she was 9 pounds. And I remember the nurse and the midwife kind of looking at each other. And then they were talking about maybe shoulder dystocia, maybe this is a big baby. And so they had asked me to get out of the tub and start pushing on the bed. And I remember I looked at Becca and I was like, nope.
So you were pushing, but it was not the real push because you're working through this fear.
Mm-hmm.
But they're interpreting it.
I'm pushing like
10 seconds out of like a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so.
I'm pushing and then letting go. And I could feel him just coming back up.
But they were maybe not understanding.
Yeah.
They weren't, like,
I wasn't pushing, 3
But
times
those
during a
listening-
contraction.
You did nothing wrong. Like, the woman that's birthing knows more than she knows.
Yeah.
And so, like, I like to think of it like there's a whole universe that's communicating with Maddie. And so even though we don't have the words to say, like, you're not pushing right, you're
I
not
knew
pushing
he was
big enough,
fine.
she had complete peace that he was fine. And, like, who knows, like, the uterus maybe had to come down, or, like, he was making his final little movements or taking his, like, getting all his oxygen. Like, there's so much going on beyond.
Yeah.
And 20 minutes is so minimal.
Yeah.
Of
I
pushing
hadn't
time.
been pushing long. I think maybe he was crowning for a while, or he was coming down and then kind of coming back up, which I was also in water, so gravity. But yeah, the midwife was like, I want you to get out and start pushing on the bed. And I knew my dream was to birth in this tub that I was in and had only been in for so long. And so I was on my hands and knees kind of leaning over the side of the tub, but I turned. So I had my arms like around the back of the tub and my legs were kind of like this. So kind of floating. My butt was above the ground, but holding myself up.
Say something like, get out, we told you to get out, or did she let it go?
I think either I had advocated for myself or someone had advocated for me. Like, let's just try it one more time.
I'm picturing, we just talked about this scene. I think it's in the Ozarks where she's like, if you want me,
You're gonna have to fucking kill me.
yeah, like something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm picturing you like, if you want me to get out of this tub.
Well, every time they would say we're worried about the baby, Maddie's like, he's fine. I'm the one that's holding back.
I knew I was holding back.
And she communicated to them. And so I think there was a sense of trust they had in you of like, okay, it's not the baby stuck. It's just she's waiting.
I'm sure I told them, I'm scared. I can't do this. In my brain, I was telling myself, like, going back to how I remember pushing with Taytum, which was not a favorite moment. And so I knew I was holding back. And I had told them, like, I'm holding back. This is not everything I have. Positional change also really helped, and kind of just helping him do that little dance. And it wasn't long after that he was born.
Yeah.
Very quickly after
So,
he
yeah,
was
so
born.
you flipped over,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like starfishing,
Yep.
and then his head was out at that point, or
Ye-
halfway out.
I think he started crowning when I had flipped, and it was a couple pushes, and he was out.
And the ring of fire that time, what was that?
I didn't feel it.
Wow. So
Mm-mm.
crazy. So that was like completely healing or redemptive.
Yes.
Like the one thing you wanted to be.
Felt like the last stage was healing.
Oh my God. I have goosebumps. It was so.
My affirmations were hung above me with lights. I had a birth photographer there, Jamie. And so she was capturing that, which was a regret that I had with my first birth, is that I didn't have a professional birth photographer there, because your mom's camera takes good pictures, but a birth photographer it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
So she got to capture those, and I'm so glad that I have those. Okay, so then I get out of the tub and they want me to deliver the placenta. It took longer than they had hoped for. It was about 39 minutes. So around like the 25-ish minute mark, they started, putting me in all these funky positions, hands and knees, maybe for gravity, doing fundal massages at this point to check my uterus, slightly checking the cord, making sure it's not stuck. And then the midwife calls the OB doctor who was on call and said, we have possibly a retained placenta. It's been, this amount of time. And so he comes in, he's a really soft-spoken gentleman, and he's like, I've been reading about this study and I've tried it a few times. We're going to mix Cytotec in a dose of Cytotec with 30 ml, so an ounce of sterile saline, mix it together, make this concoction. We're going to inject it into the umbilical cord that was, still connected to the placenta through a really big needle into the umbilical cord. So obviously I didn't feel it. And within a minute, the placenta was ready to come out.
I have to find that study because that was I've never seen it before.
It
And
was
it
really
worked
cool.
instantly. And it was like no intervention to like, because they were like threatening a D&C at that point.
Yeah, he had said, if this doesn't work, the next thing we're doing is going in for surgery. And I was like,
What were you feeling then? Because I feel like, you just had this beautiful birth.
I was scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't prepare for the after stuff. Like, you don't really think about that stuff.
Yeah.
As like a possibility. It's all about getting baby here.
Yeah. And I call her my older sister, but my older sister, who we've adopted in our family, had a D&C after her first birth because she had a retained placenta. And so I had that story to kind of bounce back off of, because that happened to her. I knew how terrible it was. She was separated from her baby for hours under anesthesia and had that surgery. And So in that moment, I was kind of thinking about her and her experience and really not hoping for that.
Yeah. I was like, come on, placenta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that cytotech did
And
its
like as the birth
magic.
workers listening, like 39 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but being there was like 0 cord lengthening, almost like cord retraction. Like it was not coming. So yeah, that was so cool. I want to find that study.
And it was huge.
Oh yeah. Do you want to share how big your baby was?
My baby was 9 pounds, 15.4 ounces. Like 10-pound baby.
Not going to go quite to 10, but I'm going to go right to
So this
Yeah.
placenta was giant because it was supporting his life.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
The transition home
Mm-hmm.
with now 2 kids, how has that been for you?
The hardest part was attending to her, helping her transition into this big sister role, which for Taytum was very natural. She's taking care of all of these babies. I don't know how she can take care of 15 baby dolls and feed them all and burp them and change their diapers. Yeah, she's my mini-me, which is what I am with my mom. But so very quickly she wanted the live baby. So that was the hardest part of how can I give my all to her still as I have the last 2.5 years, but also this, I should say, it shouldn't say little baby. He was a 10-pound baby. But kind of helping them merge and give them all my attention. So that was hard in the first week. But I think any transition with a toddler is hard.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay. So I think I want to know what your biggest postpartum flex is, because I feel like with your history, like you would have these like tricks and tips for postpartum. So what were some of the things you figured out, like, oh, I can like hold my baby and do this thing, and I've got this trick or whatever?
Yeah, multitasking became a really big flex. Holding a baby and feeding a baby while making mac and cheese on the stove for a toddler, or we have a farm at home, so feeding the chickens or putting all the goats in while holding your 5-day-old, or that was a flex. I'm very grateful for a really great milk supply, and so I think Ariel actually came over at, I think I was a week postpartum, and we did a weighted feed, and he transferred 5 ounces, and Ariel's like our RDS record. Like,
That's wild.
I still can't believe it.
yeah,
So that's a flex. You've been bagging lots of milk every day.
yeah, I have a lot, which I want to share with people,
Yeah,
but
that's awesome. We need you.
so that's a flex.
Yeah, definitely. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, anything else from
Yeah, your whole story, like closing thoughts.
I want to do it
Any
again.
news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
what would you do next time?
Postpartum is like, as weird as it is to say, like my favorite time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm in my own newborn bubble, or like my own bubble. I love being postpartum. I love the days, the hard days, the easy days, the days that are crazy. But I just feel like that's when I'm happiest, is like holding my little baby. And then they grow up, so I just need another.
Yeah. So more to come.
More to come.
It's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Would you do Saturday Davis again?
I
Do something
would.
different?
I would do Sutter Davis again, unless, yeah, I would.
Awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully work there someday.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. That'd be so fun to like do a birth with you as a staff of Sutter Davis
Yeah.
and as a doula.
I'm excited for the role. I'll always be a doula. I think that cup still needs to be filled
Yeah.
in my lifetime, but be in a different role of being the nurse. Kind of feels like just different, but can also be like the doula nurse.
Yeah.
Can you put needles in other people? You need to know.
Yeah.
You don't want them in yourself.
I can.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just gotta make sure.
Not myself.
Right, but other people.
Don't practice on me, but other people,
No.
I can.
8 months is so soon. That's like less than a pregnancy.
True.
That's a 32-weeker.
Yeah, next summer.
That's so exciting.
Well, thank you
I'm
for
excited.
sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It was fun.
We do a little hug at the very end.
well,
Sticky, sweaty hug.
yeah, sticky sweaty hug.
Love you. Sticky,
Love you.
beautiful. Thanks for joining us on Girly Pop Birth Talks, where we hold space for the messy and meaningful journey of becoming her.
If today's story moved you, made you laugh, or reminded you of your own strength, we would love it if you subscribed, shared the episode, and left us a quick review.
We're so glad you were here.
Seriously, you're one of us now.
We can't wait to do this again soon.